Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, welcome back to another Friday night bee chat. We'll go ahead and get the invite set up here. Let everybody in, whoever wants to come in. Hope everybody is doing okay and their bees are okay. There it is up at the top. A little on the rainy side here today for me. I know that it's probably rainy out in Ohio and probably Missouri at the time, like probably yesterday, most likely. Hey, Nancy and Kimberly and Tytrone and hey, Sandy and Mike. Hey, Grammy, Lisa. Here comes Bill in. There's good old Bill helping me out. Hey, Keith, Dennis, David. Hey, Phil. See you dropped a video. I haven't got a chance to look at it. Hey, Mike from Easy Ox. I need to call you, get some things lined up here for this month, coming month.
Hey, Kimberly.
So how's things? Hey, Edward or Chad, I mean. Hey, Grayson. So how's things down in the valley today? Was it kind of on the rainy side?
Yeah, it rained all day, but it was warm.
Hey, Tom and Melissa. It was raining here this afternoon for the bulk of the rain was south of Baltimore. So it started showering, I'll say, this afternoon. Hey there, Brian. Good to see you. And Hope.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy. David. Shane. Anyway, it was kind of, yeah, it was warm, but it was kind of that chilly warm. You know, just kind of wet and kind of chill. We had a stove on and all.
Yeah, we had a little excitement in the parking lot this morning.
What was that?
I don't know exactly what started it, but
all right, hold on. Here comes Mr. Mike
mind.
himself.
Hey, Mike.
Hello, guys.
Well,
So
this is good.
I came out of my office, and
yeah,
the parking lot had a state trooper, 4 or 5 town police officers, a deputy in there, and they had a bunch of cars and a few people in handcuffs. I don't know what was going on, but they did end up carrying a couple of them away in handcuffs. So
they probably had some illegal oxalic acid.
I don't know. They had something illegal. I don't know what it was. So how's the weather out there with y'all?
Mike, you can hear us, Mike?
Still snowy out there?
Yep. Yeah, I hear you good. Yep.
Well, your video's doing well, or as far as your camera and everything is doing quite well. So I was just wondering whether we should take this opportunity while you're on here. We'll just talk about your product and everything else and the history behind it. You feel up to doing that tonight or maybe a later date? What do you want to do, Mike?
We can do it now. We got a little problem here we're trying to fix right now.
Okay. Well,
I'm hearing double for some reason, but I think we got to
they can turn your microphone, turn it off on the YouTube side and not the Sawmill.
Turn your volume off.
Turn the volume off on the YouTube side.
Yeah, I think we got it now. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no echo.
Yep, we got it now. We had 2 windows running.
Right. The YouTube, you have to just turn the volume off on the YouTube side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Yep.
Well, why don't we do that? Why don't, since you're on tonight, I mean, I didn't actually advertise it. We have got 60 some people on right now.
Yeah.
It'll probably go up to about 100, hopefully tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it if you want to.
Sure.
All right, everybody listening in. This is Mike, the here off. Let's see, would be my right hand side there in the back with the. I guess is that your Vietnam? Yeah, it is your
Yeah.
Yeah,
veteran's
my
hat.
Vietnam hat.
That's your Vietnam veteran hat.
Yep.
I met Mike down at the No Life Beekeepers dinner party for the first time. And then I went and spent about a half an hour with him at Nobby. He was one of the vendors for about a half an hour with him, talking about the history of his company. And it is family owned and operated. Down at the show, he had him and his wife, and I think 2 sons. Is it, Mike?
No, it's my son and grandson.
Son and grandson. So
Yep,
it's
they're my partners.
definitely
in
a
business.
small family owned and operated business, American made business, and all that. And so I'll let you take it from there as far as, how long you've been in business and how you got in business. Kind of tell the folks here in the chat tonight, about buying the machine that you were telling me about and how it all kind of started and why you did what you did and everything.
Okay. Well, I think it was in 2021, 2022. I believe it was Ian Stepler up in Canada using tablets, oxalic acid tablets. And I wanted to get me some. So I kind of looked for them, couldn't find them. And they were available in Europe, but the time you pay the shipping wasn't worth it. So I thought I'd make myself some. And one thing led to another. And I got a used tablet machine from a guy in the Carolinas. And we just started playing around, experimenting and doing some research, trying to make tablets. And it probably took 4 months or so to make a tablet. It's not easy done with oxalic acid, just by the nature of what it is and what it does to your machine and your dyes and everything when you're trying to make a tablet. But we finally got it to work, and I made a few, and I took them to my bee club, and actually was giving them away to some of my friends at the bee club and stuff, and some of the members. And one night, a guy said, let me pay for them. I said, no, it's okay. I'm just having fun with this, messing around. And another guy said, well, you're not allowed to sell them anyway. That'd be against the law to sell illegal oxalic acid to a beekeeper. And I didn't know what he was talking about. So I looked into it and I thought, wow. And well, one thing led to another. And I found a consultant to help me because I couldn't do it myself. And we spent about 18 months from the start getting the consultant to get our product registered. And at the same time we got powder registered at the same time. So Easy Ox has the tablets and the powder. And it's just, it was very, it's just hard to explain how tough that was, how many hoops we had.
I know. Yeah, I know that you were telling me. I mean, folks, the hoops that Mike here has been jumping through for at least a couple years at least.
Yeah. I actually formed our company after a while, and I think it was January of 22. Actually started Mike's Bees LLC, and then I think our filing date was in. I can't remember now.
Might have been September of
August or September of 23. And then by the time we introduced our products at Nobby in 24 Nobby.
Yeah, I remember you there. You were, I think
we were only registered in 2 states back then.
Yeah,
that's another thing that you get through all the EPA stuff. Then you got to deal with all the states. You have to register in every state. They vary from, I think New Mexico's like $75 and California's like $1,500 a year to register. We haven't registered in California yet, but we're thinking about trying it.
Right. So, and that's a yearly fee in every state.
Yes. Yearly fee.
Annually between $18,000 to $22,000. Some states are a 2-year registration.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, it's annually for the states, and then you have a maintenance fee with the federal EPA.
Yeah, we just found that out.
That you have to pay.
Yeah, you told me about that. What do you call it?
Maintenance fee.
Maintenance fee. I was
Yeah,
right.
from the EPA, they hit us
That
with
was,
that. They're just
and folks, I won't say what the price was, but it was just absolutely outrageous,
crazy.
and all that.
But
And
we're registered in all states except Hawaii and California and DC. We even registered in Alaska. If there's anybody in Alaska that's got bees, I think there is. I looked at their Department of Agriculture.
there's-
Says they do.
there's definitely people that have bees in Alaska, and all that.
So it was the tablets, the ease of use that kind of started the whole thing, and
Yeah.
then the powder involved, and the reason for that was we was looking at what options do beekeepers have if they want to use a legal registered oxalic acid. There was only one, and they kind of had the market cornered, and we felt kind of inflated, and we wasn't, but I mean, they probably got import fees and tariffs and other things that they're paying on top of the registration fees, same registration fees we pay, but we were able to get it, get the price knocked down and make it affordable, to where it's about 24 cents a treatment per hive, for
With
one
the
treatment
powder,
with the powder.
yeah.
Right.
So, it's pretty affordable to use to be able to use an EPA registered product.
And that's with 4 grams, 24 cents, we figured.
Yeah.
What's that? What was the last thing, Mike? You said about the
4 grams cost about 24 cents. A 4 gram treatment's about 24 cents.
24 cents. And to make mention, your product is the only product right now in the United States that has got it labeled that it's 2 grams legally per brood box.
Brood box, yes.
So it's the only one that's actually on the packaging.
Yep.
And all
And
that.
our product leaves no residue in your vaporizers.
Now, yeah, I know you had explained to me something about that. What is it about your oxalic acid powder versus, let's say, an unlegal
Well,
powder?
you mean, okay, with an illegal, the difference would be one, well, we're registered. A registered product, even our source that we get our oxalic acid from has to pass the test of the EPA. I just can't go willy-nilly and buy it from anywhere. It's got to be from someone that EPA has approved for me to get it. And out of 40 some companies that I approached, only 3 could meet those, jump through the right hoops to get it done.
Right.
And then once we get it, we have a process that we put that oxalic acid through. We just don't get it and rebag it or anything like that. We run it through a whole process. We think, even from when it comes to us, when we get it, we think we can see a little bit of difference the way it even vaporizes. It just vaporizes better.
Yeah, we make it more uniform, and
We make the size of the granules more uniform and through our process.
But to kind of answer the question about the differences, other than the legal illegal, is oxalic acid, it's the impurities that are in a legal product versus a wood cleaner or a bleach.
Right.
They might, all oxalic acid might say 99.6, 7, 8.9, percent, but it's what that point, whatever percent is, what are those impurities? They're unknown in a wood bleach and a cleaner. So, and it doesn't matter what they are in a wood bleach or a cleaner, because they're not meant to be vaporized into a beehive. So that's the difference. Our oxalic acid has to have a certificate of analysis that shows exactly what those impurities are. And there's a list of impurities that it can't be, or it can't be accepted. And we have to turn all that in with the COAs, the certificate analysis, to the EPA every year for every gram of oxalic acid that we sell. So,
if like people had experiences where if you're using a regular like a Provat vaporizer like mine, where that tip might get choked up. Now, some people say the tip the I guess the vapor was being cooled by the time it got to that point of that machine. So are you saying that possibly the impurities is actually more of the cause of that?
It could be.
It could be the impurities, and
especially with Apiboxal.
and and Apiboxal, the only other legal brand, their thing is they have glucose, silica, and another ingredient that's in their oxalic acid that they mixed in it. Because primarily when Apiboxal kind of did their thing, they were big into the dribble method, so they basically had the glucose in the powder, from the get-go. So when you vaporize that sugar basically caramelizes and gives you that sticky caramel, residue in your vaporizer, and some of that plugs up, your nozzles also. So,
and then Brian down in Mississippi, or Memphis, he wants to know, will we be seeing any larger package sizes in the future, maybe?
Yeah, we're working on. We're looking at the packaging and how we can do it. I think we're looking at maybe like at least a 5-pound tub. We're looking to go, more of a small bucket, type.
Yeah, kind of like a April guard type bucket or something like that.
Yeah, some kind of so it's basically the packaging that's the problem. I mean, we're legally, we can put it in 10-pound, 5, 10, and there's nothing limiting us to the size that we can sell, other than the packaging, and then trying to keep it somewhat affordable. When you get into 10 pounds of our brand, what we can try to get it down to the bare minimum. I mean, as long as we can pay the fees and keep the lights on, I mean, that's kind of what we're about. We're beekeepers, and
well, that's the thing. I mean, you're family owned and operated, and you're also beekeepers yourself.
Yeah.
And you're trying to develop a product for your neighbor or your brothers and sister beekeepers,
right,
and something that's relatively affordable and everything.
Yeah, it was actually kind of fun in the beginning. I mean, it's still fun, but experimenting and trying to come up with the right thing. And like you said, he got that tabletop press, that one we started with, one banger. And, a guy that had it was making catfish bait with it. Out of, like Kool-Aid or something. And
making tablets.
He was making catfish tablets. And so it was kind of neat to hear his story and what he was doing with it, and then kind of what we were going to do with it. And then to come up with, the inert ingredient there's only one inert ingredient in our product. And, it's like a lube binder to make the tablet. Mm-hmm. And it's a food grade, it's inert EPA approved product that actually when vaporized, when heated, it's 100% organic. But to find that ingredient out of all the stuff that's, out there, to find that one ingredient that meets all that, and and vaporizes, it was a challenge. And we used some things in the beginning. We made a bunch of tablets and got the machine purring like a kitten, and it was just a one press, one banger, and that thing was spitting out tablets. And I think we was doing about I want to say we did like 4,000 tablets in like 2 hours or something. We really thought we were doing something. And so he's all excited about it and was bottling them up and stuff. And we thought, well, we'll make a little video and see how these things, show how these things work, and this, the ease of use and how fast they burn and all that. And so we get out there and set up a mock hive and get the cameras and the vaporizers and the PPE and everything, and get the vaporizer in the back of the hive. It's heated up, and he drops the tablets in, and we sit there and we're videoing and we're waiting, nothing. And he all of a sudden he's like, well, this ain't good. And so we opened the bowl up, looked at it, and them tablets are just laying in there doing nothing. They're just laying there like it wasn't even hot. And thought, what in the world? And we went and we got that and one of the inert ingredients that we was trying and was looking at it and was like, man, what's the deal with this stuff? So we got to doing some research. Well, here it had a dang on melting point of like 3,000 degrees or something. So it basically fireproofed the oxalic acid.
We had every time we would change, we would go out and test.
Right.
We were so excited that it was making tablets. We just let it run. It didn't even enter our mind to test them. This is just too good to be true after all we'd been through.
Right.
And
Well, now you were telling me at the expo something about the moisture content in your oxalic acid is a major factor
yeah.
in vaporizing, I guess. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well, there's different kinds of oxalic acid. There's anhydrous and dehydrate, and you've got to use dehydrate. Over half the oxalic acid sold on Amazon are not even oxalic acid dehydrate, and people don't know that, and those companies don't tell you what it is. They just one used to have bees on the package. They took them off for some reason. Somebody probably got after them, but that one I know is anhydrous because I contacted that company. It's a big chemical company in Michigan. I contacted them way back to be a supplier for me since they're a chemical company, and they do not handle oxalic acid dehydrate, only anhydrous. So that has no moisture in it at all.
Yeah.
So it's going to mess up it's not going to vaporize right.
Yeah. They were actually selling on Amazon with bees on the,
On the
pictures of
pack- they
honeybees
were.
on their package.
They finally took them off.
So when it has moisture involved in it, does that choke up the machine? Is that why?
No.
So, it's supposed to be oxalic acid dehydrate by nature is supposed to be around 24%, moisture. And so actually that moisture is kind of, what you want. Cause when that heats up, your steam, it's kind of steaming that vaporizer at the beginning. And that's what knocks that temperature down in your vaporizer to get your
375.
sublimation. Cause your oxalic acid sublimation is between 330 and 375 degrees. So that moisture, gets your vaporizer and gets that oxalic acid to sublimate rather than burning it off as a carbon, as a carbon monoxide.
Yeah,
because your anhydrous, you might be dropping 2 or 4 grams of anhydrous in your vaporizer, and most of it's probably burning up into a carbon monoxide, not even really getting a full, a good, treatment.
Right.
Right.
So,
but the biggest thing is that, like you say, your product doesn't have the glucose and all this other stuff in
right.
Right.
And
That's why there's no residue.
And some folks still do dribble, and which is like once.
You could do dribble with our powder.
And our label has directions for dribble method with our powder. You just basically do your 1-to-1 sugar water, heat your water, put your sugar in it, get your 1-to-1, and then put your oxalic acid in it. And and you can still do the dribble method.
Right. I did it, I think, years ago when all this oxalic acid information started to come out.
We have a lot of people buy our product for dribble. I've talked to a lot of them about it, and I tell them always make sure you spray your bees with your sugar water first before you dribble. So they get their belly full of sugar water before you dribble that oxalic acid on them.
Yeah, because they're not really supposed to consume it, correct?
Right.
I think just here recently, like especially like you guys talked about, is that I don't believe that bit of information has been publicized that you should spray sugar
on our label.
Yeah, it's on our label. I mean, that's the thing with oxalic acid. It's always been a controversial treatment because, everybody says oxalic acid, and everybody was just, putting videos out of using all the different, off-label things. And, the oxalic acid, it's one of the best treatments. It's the most gentle treatment, but if you get in a regimen and use it the way that it's supposed to be used, I mean, it's a very effective a treatment. And in the dribble method, it's an effective treatment as well. But like you said, it's not out there, and we're hoping to do some videos, some basically informational videos and get out.
Well, here's Steve, Jonathan here. I already know the answer to the question, but I'm going to let you answer it. Do you guys have any plans to make strips like Viroxan?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good question. We're actually we've already in the process of that, and we're getting ready. We just got to get everything submitted to the EPA, and since we registered our TGAR, our active ingredient, oxalic acid, we can kind of piggyback off of that registration. So instead of taking the 15, 18 months that it originally took us with the tablets and the powder, it only take us about 4 months.
Well, that's great.
So hopefully we can get that out by early summer. And I think we're going to do ours a little bit different than Viroxan. I'm not a big fan of the way that it folds down into the comb and lays across. When it folds down over your brood, if you kind of look at some pictures, I've seen some pictures where the bees kind of abandon the brood underneath that strip. So we're going to do ours a little bit different.
There's what Jonathan says. That's
similar to the Randy Oliver method. If anybody's ever seen his method, where you kind of put them across the top of your frames, and
like Greg Rogers in the University of North Carolina.
That's right. Yeah. I've watched anybody that hasn't seen those 2 videos that Bob put out. Excellent videos, and I really. Personally, I looked at those things, being off label, and finally you had somebody like Greg Rogers that did the scientific background check along with the colleges.
Yeah. And
it's like what he explained about when they were using it and how it related to other products of, Varroa mite products. Then to me, it's much more clear. And you can, start using a product like that and implement it in a way that it doesn't interfere with the rest of your treatment program and all that kind of stuff. And all that. So yeah, I think that's going to be wonderful if you guys can develop that.
Yeah.
And be able to just, it's messy to make, and what I gather. And, if you can buy something like that and just lay it in there and go right down the line of your hives and stuff like that. And, you're in and you're out and you're done.
Yes. We think that'll be an effective treatment, to kind of, when you come out of your winter, a lot of people use OA vapor, December, January, maybe even again in February, if everything's still brood low to no brood. And then in the spring, if you put those pads or strips on, that's going to kind of maintain that mite level through the summer, or most of it, and get you past your honey flow. And then when that's kind of the way we do it. When we pull our supers, then we go back into the vaporization treatment for the brood cycle and get the mites all killed.
Mm-hmm. I just lost your sound.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, Aaron, are you good?
Okay. Yeah. I was saying that, kind of the way we do it, you can put those pads on in the spring, kind of get you through a couple months your summer.
Honey.
And then in the fall, like when we pull our supers off and go into our treatment regimen where you treat for basically a brood cycle, get those mites killed, so the queen can start laying for the winter bees. And then that's why we hit them again, so you do that treatment for a brood cycle in mid to late August, maybe even the 1st of September, do a brood cycle, kill all the mites. And then you hit them again in December So any mites they picked up over that last treatment that you did, while they're out still, foraging a little bit, trying to get their winter stores before they started clustering up and getting broodless.
Right.
Then, when they get a warm day where the cluster breaks, you go out there in December, they shouldn't have any brood. You hit them again and pretty much have them mite free through the winter. And then, just go out there and hit them a couple times once a month. It's kind of like what way we do it. If we get a nice day where the clusters broke, maybe once a month, December, January, and the 1st of February.
Yeah, that's been my mite treatment program personally in my hives. When it comes to the wintertime, I try to hit them about somewhere around twice a month, about every 2 weeks. And I know a lot of people have that pattern of every 4 days for 5 different treatments and all that. And
we do that back in in the fall. We do it that way for a full brood cycle, just to get all the mites killed so that queen can start laying her winter bees and not have to hopefully be healthy and have the colony pretty strong, with those winter bees. But
I like I said, do that through the wintertime. Now, of course, right now in January it's been too cold, but last year it was too cold also.
Yeah.
I plan on doing some vaping coming tomorrow or February when it gets a little bit warmer, hopefully. Yeah. And I usually stop by March.
It was 55 here today.
Yeah, today would have been a good day here. It was 55 and raining, so they would have been broke, and then probably most of them would have been in the hive, but it was a missed opportunity today.
No, it wasn't. Well, they said it was 50, but it just didn't feel like it was. And it was raining.
Yeah, 50 and rain. It's still kind of chilly.
Right. So do you just more or less use oxalic acid when it comes to your personal hives?
Yeah, we do, just because it's our product and we want to use it every way we can and see what's working. And
right, make sure it's working right, like you were saying.
I've been doing it for since 22 at least, 21, probably 21. So I'd say this would be the 5th year, maybe. I've just used oxalic acid.
Yeah.
And
this would be the first year I've really had any kind of losses. I may, like, out of 20, 25 hives, lose 1. But this year I've had 40 hives coming into this one, 42. And I checked yesterday. Somehow my bees got some nosema. I had a problem with that, looks like. And I've had one hive starve because I fed them. Our fall here, I don't know about you guys, we had a drought out of this world. I got a farm pond that's like 5 foot down. And so
it didn't rain.
We didn't get much goldenrod at all.
Yeah, our second cutting of hay, we didn't get the rain to really get a good cutting. And but I mean, it sounded like to me you guys had a drought even worse than what we had.
We did. So I put the feed. I put at our bee club we made sugar bricks, and I put all kinds of things. But that one hive, it had ate its food, and what I put on it was all gone. I just checked that hive yesterday, and it was gone, starved. I know
a lot of folks.
It very bothers me. I can't stand it when a hive starves.
There's been different ones here on the chat that talk about they've been losing some hive, whether they to starvation or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know I've been out to mine in the last couple of weeks where the weather wasn't about 43 or so, just enough to be able to check. And I could see where when I feed my bees in the fall, I feed them to the point where they will not take any more liquid feed.
Yeah.
And I've had several hives out there right now that I went in 2 weeks ago and the deep frames were completely empty except for maybe a frame of honey off to the left, right next to the wall. I moved it over towards the cluster, and then as soon as I could get in, I guess it was right before this big freeze we had. Well, actually, see, what was it? Yeah, I guess it was right after the frigid weather last Sunday. Actually, it was about 43 to 45 degrees, and I went ahead and put feeding shims on, sugar bricks, and some pollen patties. And, so they're been fed for about a week now. So they're on it. They're jumping on it big time.
Yeah,
I know. And Brian from Castle Hives, he's up in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, I know.
He said that huge losses across the state of Ohio and all.
Yeah,
and,
I got to agree with that.
And all that kind of stuff. Let's see what else everybody in the chat here is talking about.
Amen.
And all that kind of stuff. And let's see. Brian, he's out there in Colorado. He said it was nice and sunny out there today. Brian, I see your video where you were saying you were going to put out some fondant and stuff. And then Lynn here from here, she's one of my keepers here in the Baltimore area there that, she says they're all over her sugar and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff. But
there's Tom's on there showing his bag.
Palm. Yeah, Mac, he's up there in Ohio. He's lost, Tom, I believe he lost about 7 or 8 hives already and all that. But we got 93 people on right now. But so you got the powder, you got the pills, I guess you would call them, which are 1 gram tablets. That's the right word. We got the tablets, which are 1 gram per tablet.
Yep.
And good for folks that have the vaporizer wands. And there's
they'll work in almost all vaporizers. You can use them in all vaporizers.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a vaporizer that doesn't have a plunger, I mean, like my ProVap has the cups, you can put them in the cup, turn it upside down, they flop in, just like what Ian did up there a couple of years ago on the videos.
You really don't even have to turn it upside down, Charlie.
Yeah.
All right.
You can hold that cup between your thumb and your finger and in the palm of your hand, your tablets, roll them in, just stick the lid in it.
Now, when they hit that hot iron like that, do they instantaneously vaporize or does it
they're just as fast as powder?
They're just as fast as the powder. You got a split second there when you drop them in. If you just put your vaporizer in your hive, you got a split second there where you can drop them in and just sit your cap on there. You don't have to press that cap on super tight. Just enough press, just a little bit, just to keep it from coming out the top and force it into the hive. Works pretty good.
Yeah, all the guys that have the vaporizers that use a cup, when you're using those cups with powder or tablets or whatever, don't put it in any tighter than what it needs to be. If it's leaking a little bit, just push it on a little bit more. But if the harder you push that thing in, if you would plug up your nozzle, the faster that thing's going to pop out. If you just stick it in there, and if you get plugged up, it's just going to roll out. If you shove it in and like you turn it upside down and press down hard on top of your hive, then stick it in and flip it over. If you push it in there hard and you stick it in there and it's propolis in there and plug it up, it's going to shoot out of there like a rocket.
I've been there. I did that.
So just put it in light and it'll roll out. If it's going to pop out, it'll just go bloop and no problems.
Right.
But another thing, I had a guy from Indiana call me yesterday. He was out treating his bees and he had some dry powder. And I told him, let me see your water bottle there, Travis. If your powder's dry, if you got one of those kind that it's got the chimney and the plunger and your powder's too dry, just take the cap off your bottle. Just put 1 capful in that bag and zip it shut and massage it a little bit, shake it around, let it sit for a minute, then try it. Just do one cap at a time because you don't want to get too much water in it either.
Right.
Because it could, you'll be steaming your bees instead of vaporizing them.
Mm-hmm. And that's just as far as using the powder style, like using a plunger. If it's falling out of your plunger, or
Right.
something
If it won't stick in your plunger like it's
Yeah.
designed to do.
right. I see. So you just add a cap full of water. I've never really had that problem.
Yeah, just like this bag here, when you squeeze our bag, I think I showed that to you down there might have showed it to you, Charlie, that it feels like snow in there. It's like packing snow. It crunches like. It's what it should feel like.
So, let's see what else. I guess that's about all I can think of as far as.
Well, another thing, when you're storing your powder, when you're using it, and especially in the summertime, and then August, September treatments, make sure you keep it shut when you're, sealed back up when you're not using it. Don't leave it lay out in the sun open, because oxalic acid will give up its moisture and it'll suck in moisture. If you got it open in there, when it's damp and wet, it'll draw moisture and get too wet, or it'll give it up. That's why another thing, you want to use registered, like our powder, because wood bleaches, your cleaners, that's oxalic acid, or in warehouses, they're just sitting beside who knows what, and if it's damp in there, or it's giving up and absorbing and giving up, and who knows what it's sucking back in when it gets too dry and needs moisture. And
Well, with your packaging in there, once you open it up, is there like a resealable
yes
Ziploc or whatever you want to call it?
Actually, the tablets even have a child-proof. They're child-proof. You got to get your thumbnail down in there to open them once they're sealed.
But yeah, both packages.
Both packages sealed real good.
Ziploc.
Real good Ziploc on them, and keep them shut. And once they're open, I say they're good for at least 2 years. Once you open your package.
Okay.
I think the tablets would be way longer than that.
Yeah. All right. Nancy kind of alerted me. Thanks, Nancy. Gary Stewart's got a question
Okay.
for Mike. Go ahead and type it in, Mike, into the chat and all. Gary, he's up in Salem, West Virginia. As soon as it comes in.
Okay.
And yeah, that you got to resealable and everything. I know myself, I like. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, OA doesn't really have an expiration. I mean, as long as you keep it stored in a cool, dry place, and like I said, even if it gets a little bit dry, you just put that cap of moisture in it and massage it in, and it should be fine.
Yep. No, I have some. Yeah, I don't like you say it's a powder. I don't think it's other than like you say, it's either going to absorb moisture or let off moisture, depending on where you have it, or try to keep it sealed up for sure. I know myself, I like taking your bag, and I've got a little used peanut can, and I dump it in there. It's a wide mouth, and that way I can take my plunger and just jab it with that, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
And Vince says he stores it in a glass container. He has a lot of condensation.
Yeah, so that glass would heat up, and that moisture that's in the oxalic acid, that would cause some condensation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be normal.
That'd be normal.
Yeah. Just shake it around.
Well, put it in the peanut can like I do. Well, you got a real quick sealable lid, plastic lid. It seals it up. Does good. Or you can put it in that, use what you need out of that, and pour it back into your bag, and then reseal it with that seal.
Just keep it in a cool, dark
You can't,
places.
yeah, you can't leave, stuff like this. I think people leave it in their local tool
Yeah.
shed outside.
And I'll tell
And
you,
it really needs to come into the house, I think.
if you get out there and it's all dried up and lumpy and big, hard to break, just throw it away and get a new bag.
Yeah, and in the
It's
tool
not worth
shed,
it.
you have gasoline and different things in your tool shed that if that stuff's left, if it's open, it could absorb that moisture out of the air
Or other chemicals you got in there.
yeah, can kind of suck in some of the other fumes that might be in there in the shed.
Another thing I want to bring up, if anybody's using those Appy tablets, I want to warn you, if you got that in your hive and you vaporize them with oxalic acid, you could kill your bees because there is a chemical reaction with thymol and oxalic acid.
Okay.
If you got them in there, take them out before you treat. We're afraid somebody's going to kill their bees, and we're the last thing they use. They're going to think it's our oxalic acid that killed their bees.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was Bob Benny had a talk on that that I heard.
Yeah, it was a video depending on, let's see, what was it? He said to do thymol, was it thymol first? Yeah, thymol and then oxalic, but if we reversed the combination oxalic acid first, the thymol, it took one or the other took longer to get out of the hive.
Yeah, it's the thymol takes longer.
Mm-hmm.
Oxalic acid is going like in 3 days or less.
So yeah, he said that's right. If you did thymol first, you had to wait a longer time before you could do
tablets. If you got those in there, it's a no. Treating with oxalic acid, take them out first, and then I guess you should wait a few days. But I don't know what those amount of days it is, but
now Jeff was wondering about Hive Alive Fondant that has some thymol in it, but it's not vapor. I don't think it's vaporizing.
Hive Alive has thymol in it?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
To me, if you're going to use fondant, I would think you would be like in January or like right now, basically when
when
it's
a wintertime food,
you shouldn't be putting, I don't think, in my opinion, shouldn't be putting any fondant on, let's say October, November. That's more of a severe cold winter feed. You should be doing, liquid feed at that time.
I put it on mine this year. I put it on mine because of our situation in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I've never put fondant on my bees ever, but this year I did because of the situation we had here in Ohio. And it still wasn't enough for one hive, I know.
Yeah, Hive Alive does have thymol in it.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
but most people that I see who use Hive Alive and with the thymol, that bag is usually above the inner cover over that hole. It's not really in the hive, like on top of the frames.
Yeah, but if your bees were up there eating it when you vaporized them, that wouldn't be good. I'm going to have to look into that. Man, I didn't even know that. Now, let's see there. Now, you learn something every day.
Well, that's why we have these bee chats, Mike.
That's right.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
We're all here trying to help out everybody. And depending on where you live, what can, everybody can do and all that. But, yeah, I believe that does. I think it actually has some thymol in the liquid feed too, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know whether that's for gut health or just what. So
I don't know.
All right. Let me back you out from the Zoom part. And now we're back, and there's Bill and me. Now, are you selling direct or through retail salespeople?
Sell through Bill there for one.
Yeah, I know that Bill's a retail seller
That's right.
of oxalic acid. I
Yep.
use the ox tablets and powder, and you can get it through him. And let's see, for the folks around in Maryland, you got LaRabi. LaRabi
Mhm.
Yeah,
LaRabi
Robbie sells
sells the powder,
Yeah, just powder.
just powder.
Yeah.
And then I guess you have different retailers,
Yep.
different
Across the country, we have.
across the country with it.
Mhm. Most of the big guys have it. A lot of
Okay.
small guys.
Well, that's good. So to recap, we got tablets, we've got powder, and we're looking into getting maybe a bigger packaging of, let's
Yep.
say, the powder or the
Yep.
tablets.
Yep. Starting any day now, we're going to have 100 count tablet packages. We just got the
Okay.
packaging in last week.
What are they? How many tablets do you get in a package now?
52. Well, actually, it's a 50 count, but we put 52 in it. And our 100 count will have 104 in it. We put
Right.
a couple extra in it just in
Just
case
in
they get broke shipping somewhere.
Mhm.
But you could use them even if they're broke. Just take 2 halves and you know what I mean? But we put a couple extra in just in case.
And then I guess the big news will be when you come out with your version of the, I'll say, oxalic acid pads.
Well, extended release.
Extended release. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's the good terminology. That'll be, I think, a big receipt. I mean, people are really starting to like that idea, especially treating through the summertime and keeping the mites down low at all times.
Yeah.
I know that Greg Rogers made mention that when he was using that in that experiment phase of those 2 years, that it reminded of his bees prior to Varroa,
Right.
because they were acting, they were feeling healthy, feeling great, and acting like a bunch of good, strong bees to obviously, make you more honey, maybe,
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Bill's store is Shenandoah Bee Supplies. Anybody doesn't know that, and and Brian there, Nature's Image Farm. Anybody in the Ohio area can stop by there.
Yeah.
They also sell it for you, so it's all around. Depending where you live at, you can get it from your local bee supply dealer. And all.
Is Tom Stossman still on there?
I'm sure Tom and Melissa are still.
We're sending this stuff out to Tom for his show out there in St. Louis.
Yeah. Got the
new brochures.
brochures coming.
We're gonna
send you some more bags. We're gonna pre-stuff them for you so you don't have to do all the work.
Come on in. Let me drop the link again. I get Tom to come on in. I wanted to let you guys have the floor. Oh, come on. There we go. It's up. Come on in, Tom. There we go. There's Will. He's out in Pennsylvania.
Will.
Hey guys, till Tom gets in here,
Go ahead, Will.
yeah, I was just wondering, talking about the extended release strips. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nancy just said, or not Nancy, but Melissa's just said Tom is not feeling well, so he's in bed at this time. But anyway, you've got your bags and brochures and stuff for their conference that they're putting on. That's great. Go ahead, Will. I got to get a drink.
The acrylic extended release pads. And check me on this, but Michael Palmer makes them 50-50 glycerin to oxalic acid. And then he recommends 50-gram treatment per colony, I guess I want to say. And I think the manufacturer, the Viroxan out there, I think they're only putting 25 grams
18.
in their strips.
Well, it's 18%.
It's 18%.
Yeah, it's significantly less than what
Right.
Michael Palmer's doing, or what Randy Oliver. I'm sorry, my bad, Randy Oliver.
Right.
And I'm sitting here scratching my head thinking,
Well,
he's talking about there ought to be 50 grams total in it of a 50-50 split, and
yeah,
these
we
guys
talk to
have.
Randy quite often.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at gearing yours towards being more along the line of what he's
Well,
doing,
yeah,
not.
we're gearing that way. We got to deal with the EPA.
Yeah, we're kind of at the mercy of the EPA.
We're going to try that.
Okay.
We'll try to get them
But
as much as we can.
we feel like we will be able to get more because of our oxalic acid that we use and being approved for 2 grams for the vaporization. I think I think they may give us more with our oxalic acid that we use. So
Yeah, it really turned me off on the Viroxan when I saw that.
that's
Another treatment that's not strong enough. You know what I mean?
right.
So, hey, good call on the thymol, because that's in Hive Alive, the additive for the syrup, and in all their products. I caught that on the Bob Binney video, but I missed it. I've been doing it. So I have syrup on, and I'll treat them with oxalic acid, and I didn't make that connection on the Hive Alive. So good call, guys. I'm glad that came up.
Well, now this is my opinion. If you got thymol in the hive, and I guess it's on the combs, which is it's off gassing, I guess you would call it. That I think that might be a whole different ball game compared to something that's in a food product.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's gonna play out. I'm sure that Mike and his family will have to kind of investigate that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, syrup and feed, that's something.
Maybe a little different thing, So, but anyway, I was going to ask you about something. I forget what it was. I can't think of it right now. But you say, do you have any, I'll say, idea maybe when your extended release strips might be available, in 6 months or something like that maybe?
Hopefully within 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months because by the time it takes the EPA 4 months, and then by the time we get it approved and then get the packaging, because we got to wait till they approve the label to get the packaging.
Can't do it.
And then we got to get the packaging made. So we'll be gearing up and stocking, having product ready to package. But
Right.
it's just
all right. Well, it's going to be
You
at least.
let me know as soon as it's ready to be shipped, because I'm going to get some from you.
appreciate it.
And
Are
then
you guys looking at a bigger put up as far as the powder as well as the tablets?
Yeah, we're going to make a bigger package for our powder. We're just trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, we don't. We just got to figure out what we want to put it in and trying to find the economical. Because when you get into the bucket style, because we want to use like a pail.
Yeah.
To get like 5 and maybe even a 10-pound pail of it. When you get into those pails, to get good quality that's not shiny, something thin and flimsy, and you got to pay for it, and it's that tax on extra money to the product, and it's just we want to make it as affordable as possible, but
And believe it or
and
not,
good quality.
the
Yeah,
labels,
a bigger put up would help a lot.
Yeah.
the
Just
label.
make sure the flag stays on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like our packaging, our bags, we get those here in the United States from a guy in Michigan. So we try to do everything, in the USA.
With a small business, we try to deal with small businesses like us.
Yeah.
So if we can find the pails that we need, then
Well, Mike, here's Melissa in here representing.
yeah.
What is that? The Eastern Missouri Beekeeping.
I've been elected to be politic for Tom tonight.
What'd you do to him?
I don't know, man. He woke up at like 2 a.m. this morning and has not been right ever since. We'll just leave it at that. Nobody wants all those details.
Yeah, we're getting the stuff ready to ship to you.
Awesome. We appreciate it. Tom said he went through almost I think he said like 3/4 of a bag yesterday doing OA treatments on a lot of our hives. So
I sent him some too,
yeah, that's what he had said.
Yeah.
And then he said he'll get you in contact with Jane here at Isabee's. So hopefully she can start carrying your products here in the St. Louis area. So that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, hopefully, actually this month, I'll hopefully get out there and do some vaping myself. I'll try to do a video with it.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah, it was interesting though so you brought up the Appy tablets. I know we've seen Tom's watched Bob Binney's video about the, not using the OA with the thymol. And, you don't think about these things, right? Because it's just, you're just used to doing them. And we don't use the Appy tablets, but we do use the Hive Alive fondant patties.
Yeah.
And, I never probably wouldn't have even thought because it's just so routine you're in winter, you do your treatments and move along. So that's something to really think about and, kind of be caution.
Yeah, I didn't realize that had thymol in it.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that.
Because thymol's considered a miticide.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's how these companies are skating around they're skating around the registration by saying it's a supplement, putting it in there as a supplement.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't feel that it's right just for the fact that if somebody uses that and then uses our product and they vaporize and something happens to their bees, they're going to come back at us first thinking that the OA did something to their bees when it was, the thymol, it was the reaction of the thymol.
Well, and I'm just curious of how many people last year, because I know we used Hive Alive patties on all of our hives last year. And I know Tom did treatments, but I don't know if they were at the same time, so it's kind of interesting to think about, like, how many people did that last year, not really thinking about that, using those fondant patties.
Maybe their thymol's not maybe it's not a real high dose of thymol.
That's what I was wondering.
I know the Appy tablet thymol's pretty high because it's the first ingredient listed on there, when you look at their package.
Mm-hmm.
And if you smell one of those tablets, because I was down at Nobby and I went to their booth just to see what it was all about, and I picked up, they had one laying there, and I picked it up and smelled it, and I was like, holy moly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. It's the first ingredient on their list. So the first ingredient is always kind of like the majority of the product. So
yeah.
I've got him hidden, Charlie. He's not really sick. I've got him hidden. He's not really sick.
I know I've been cracking up at all the comments about Melissa beating Tom up.
Well,
yeah, he's not sick. He'd almost show that knot on his head.
yeah. If you saw
I actually think he did something wrong, and Melissa locked him out in the garage and threw a blanket right there.
Yeah.
the possibility. You guys should all come to the Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Association workshop on February 8th and check up on him.
Right.
Oh man, if you saw the live last night, Lee doctored up a picture pretty good of Tom and I did a radio spot here in St. Louis for NPR STL to promote the workshop, and Tom had sent that picture to Lee and said, "Hey, doctor this up for me for the live," and so Lee did. He doctored it up pretty good. He has devil horns on me, holding a baseball bat. There's Tom right there. He's commenting from the bedroom. Tom had a black eye, a broken arm, scratches all over him. So he looked like quite a mess. But yeah.
Thank you, Steve, for the super chat.
So those Appy tablets. So Tom and I are both in the oh my gosh, not North. Our master beekeeping program. The name of it escapes me right this moment, but we have to do a project, and one of the things that I was actually thinking about doing was kind of like compare and contrast, because the Appy tablets aren't marketed as a miticide; they're marketed as a supplement. So I was gonna maybe do my thing on like just compare and contrast, like the mite drop between. Of course, I'd have to have some control somehow. I hadn't completely thought this out, but just compare and contrast between different miticides and Appy tablets and see what the mite drop difference was between all of those, because people who sell them they're not promoted as a miticide, but hey, it's a side effect of the supplement. So
Right. Yeah.
but again, great plans. Yes, thank you, Thomas. But
hey, Mike and Travis, are you guys seeing anything with that oxalic acid that the mites are starting to get immune to it, or they're starting to build up a resistance to it, or with it being an organic chemical, is that something that we think is going to happen at this point? Is it on your radar screen?
Not mine. I don't think they will.
No.
Do you know if you never treated your hive with oxalic acid, if you went in if you had the equipment to test your wax and your honey, you would find that there's oxalic acid in it. It's already there. It's a very small amount, but it's there because the bees bring it in from pollen and different flowers. And I even have this feeling that it's actually in Missouri. And I've watched a couple of guys talking down there that claim they have, mite-free bees and they don't treat. And I believe that there may be places in the United States that there is a plant of some kind that is giving off some kind of nectar, pollen. I don't know what, or it might be tree sap that's in the propolis that the bees are treating themselves. Actually, I think it's a possibility because these guys are in the same area. Now, I might be wrong. It might be Mississippi, but it's one of the two. It's either Missouri or Mississippi. And there was actually on one case, there was guys that went and looked at the guys' bees and they did mite washes and it had no mites. Now, how can that be?
Yeah.
There's something to that. I can't believe that there's no sign of like the bees uncapping brood, like some bees do. That there's no sign of any of that. They don't have mites.
So this new product,
some of the researchers from these colleges that got the time to go down and do some exploring.
So there was a new product that I guess is kind of getting ready to come on the market. They're in the process of all their approval stuff. They were at the Wisconsin thing this past weekend. Did you guys get a chance to go to the other vendor room?
No.
So it was called Noroa, and we were kind of talking to the guy just because it's something different. We wanted some information on it, and he was explaining it kind of like it's a liquid. Comes in like, if you guys have seen the Hive Alive liquid bags, it comes in something similar to that. And the bees take it down. It's sugar syrup, I think, based. And it is a maintenance. It's for maintenance. It's not like a drop for mite drop. It's for maintenance. But it Tom, correct me if you want to. It blocks some sort of protein in the female mite, so that she basically makes her infertile. Is
Oh,
what it is.
Hmm.
So that might be something interesting coming on the market here pretty soon. But again, it's not like for a mite drop. It's more of a kind of like an extended release type product.
I'll have to look it up.
What about humidity? Are you guys seeing anything that humidity can affect treatments on the hives with the oxalic acid?
I was talking to Tom about that. He's working on something to do with humidity. He was
Okay.
telling me.
I've never seen anything with humidity.
I mean, obviously you sell oxalic acid, so you know more about it than I do. But from what I understand, the vapor gets into the mite's respiratory system and just basically prevents them from metabolizing, anything. So, I mean, as long as their respiratory system is open, I don't know how they would develop a resistance to it. So
I thought they got it on their feet.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it gets into it disrupts cellular metabolism in the mite. And they absorb it through their respiratory system. So, I mean, again, I'm not an expert on it. So, but that's the basic understanding that I have of how it works. So,
I don't know. I mean, they've had a lot of. There's been when this stuff first came on, even the science people didn't really know how it works to kill the mites. They just knew it killed the mites. I do know, like Will said, it got on their feet, the pads of their feet, absorption through that way. As far as the respiratory, I'm not sure about that.
I mean, the mites have an open respiratory system. So when that vapor is in there, it's just basically going right in. Again, I'm not an expert on it. That's just the basic understanding that I have. It goes into their open respiratory system, disrupts cellular metabolism. So I'm not sure how that would stop occurring. I mean, I don't know how they're going to,
Brian,
how their respiratory system is going to change, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Brian C says that the acid lowers the pH and then it harms the mites without harming the bees.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know, like, our bees they don't actually have lungs, they have spiracles, and that's why it doesn't really hurt them any, the way they breathe and everything.
Yeah.
So Brian Flower Street Brian Zavada asked if the Naroa thing, it is an RNA treatment. He asked about that. And then Paul, what did Paul say? Oh, is there there is an upcoming workshop, Paul, come to think of it, this weekend in St. Louis at the Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Association. But to go along with that, with the Naroa thing, I just remembered the research behind that is actually was developed by Jim Masucci, who is a St. Louis native. It was part of his research. He was a researcher for Monsanto Bayer. He's retired now, but so this research going into this Naroa is his research, and he is actually one of our speakers also. So if you had any questions about Naroa and you're coming, you can.
Another thing, oxalic acid has been around for a long time. Used in Europe way before it was used here, and there's no sign of anything going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
With,
I know it's.
You're right, Gary.
I think they had it for 10 years prior to us.
Mm-hmm.
At least. I mean, the first time I ever heard about it was the Fat Bee Man when I first started. That he talked to somebody over there and they told him about it, and then he started using the wands and stuff. That was when that first all started, and finally they got it approved for us to use it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So DC, when he was explaining it to us, I can't, I'm not science minded like that, research science minded, but the way he was explaining it wasn't like the mRNA, like you're thinking like they were talking about during COVID and the COVID shots. And it's like, it's something else, or it works differently than that. And I cannot remember. You'd have to really go look it up and research it yourself.
Yeah. So, but so with these extended release strips, are you going to have to? I know you had told me that you wanted to try to get like 3-gram tablets or something of that nature, and EPA just told you flat out, it's going to be 2 grams, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, yeah, they actually offered me 2.3 grams. At one point, they said, "How about 2.3?" And I said, "Well, what beekeeper? I mean, how would we measure 0.3 grams? We can make a tablet, but the powder, what would you do if you need to measure 2.3 grams?
Right.
Half a teaspoon's about 2 grams, but you put a little more on top or what?" But anyway, they were quiet for a long time. And then at the last minute, they came and asked me if I would accept 2 grams, they would register me today for both powder and tablets.
Right.
So I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then we appealed for 3, but it hasn't went anywhere yet.
Yeah, it's typical, I'll say, politics, I'll say.
Yeah. But I see a lot of guys treating their bees and they're using more than you're supposed to. But I noticed they don't close their hive up. A lot of guys.
Yeah. That's something that I do. And I see so many people out there where they'll be blowing, as I call it, blowing smoke through the back of the hive, and it's blowing right straight out the front of the hive. And I'm like, when I treat my hives, I try to keep it. I tell people I've got it about 95%. The treatment's in the hive, 95% of it's in the hive. And I blow from the back of the hive at the bottom board. I have screen bottom boards, and I have them closed up with chloroplast slides in there, or mite boards, or whatever you want to call them. And then I also have 4 little wooden wedges that I put up underneath there that push that chloroplast tight as possible.
Right.
And then I use 1.5 by 2-inch styrofoam insulation. I cut a strip of that off of the insulation board, put that in the front of the hive, so it's a little longer than the landing board is, so it stays there, so the bees can't push it out. You get a little bit of leakage, I'll say, out from underneath the screen bottom boards, and maybe a little bit off of those insulation where I block the front of it up. But other than that, it's pretty much 95% stays in the hive.
That's what you want.
And I see them where they're blowing out the front of the door, and I'm like, it just don't make sense. I mean, you're wasting it.
Yeah.
And all, and everything of that nature. I don't know why my thing's all blurry. Oh, there we go. Now we're back. But that's what I do. It's a little bit time consuming, but like in the wintertime, like right now, the chloroplast, I don't want all that wind blowing up in my hives and stuff. So I leave.
Charlie, do you go through the back or the front? Do you have a hole?
I go through the back. I got a ProVap 110. I still use that. It's still corded, and I support it and blow it in the back. I don't like dealing with bees coming out in front of me. Even though you could block, it's designed to block it up. And, usually in the wintertime, you've got a entrance reducer in, and I do it like that. It works for me.
See, I go in the front, but with, I guess, just the way my boxes are, on using the instant vape compact, it kind of angles down a little bit. So on the boxes that I've got screen bottom boards on, even though I've got wedges in there trying to hold that, hold it closed, I still get probably more loss. I have a towel on the front of it and everything else too, but I probably still get more loss on those screen bottom board boxes than I, would like to see. But, there's nothing else I can do about it other than switch the bottom board out.
It's true.
I can't comment. I haven't done any OA vaporization this year. That's been all Tom.
Hey, thanks so much for you guys fighting the good fight with the EPA and doing what you're doing. I can't imagine the red tape and what you guys have to deal with. Thank you for fighting the good fight for us.
Yeah, it's a battle.
Phew, I can't imagine.
Hopefully it comes to fruit. It's what's hard. What the problem is trying to win the people back and make, that was, to bring an affordable, labeled, legal product to market. But you've had so many people that, was shied away from Apiboxyl at $60 for 350 grams. We come in less than half of that, and we're still we're competing with the illegal oxalic acid.
Yeah.
And so, we're winning more and more people back. They're seeing that there's a product out there that's a legal labeled product. They can legally treat their bees and not have to worry about, somebody coming down on them. Because, if you go to the EPA's website, a lot of people don't even realize it because it's never really been policed and enforced with the illegal products. But I mean, right on the EPA's website, it says that any hive that you treat with an illegal product, that honey, any product that comes from that, the wax has to be destroyed or used, or you can use it for personal use. Mm-hmm. So you're legally not really even allowed to sell your products that you make from your hives if you use an illegal product of any kind, especially, OA. And a lot of people don't even realize that because it's never been enforced. It's never been a thing. And you would think with all the YouTube videos out there and people showing everything that they do with their hives, if there was an enforcement agency, it'd be easy pickings, but they don't enforce it. So trying to win the people back, from the illegal products is the challenge. And sometimes, you wonder if you did the right thing trying to go through all that trouble and spend, a lot of retirement, money and invest in, everything we did out of pocket. We don't have no loans or anything,
No grants,
no help, so it's all been,
And I'll say that it's thousands and thousands of dollars these guys have spent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To have to pay the EPA in order to get anything done.
Yeah. I mean, with everything, we're well over even 100,000. I mean, I want everybody to know. I mean, it's not just a cheap knocker, it's a good product. It had a lot of time and investment put into it and a lot of money, and we're just hoping it comes to fruitation. We can get everybody using it and make it a thing, make it something strong for the beekeepers, especially here in the USA, American made and produced. And but we've got a lot of support, and we appreciate, everybody that has supported us. And Bill carries our products. We've got a lot of distributors that are coming on board, and I know we sell it online and stuff also. Just we did it first because we didn't have the resources or didn't have the connections and people selling it, and I know we sell a little bit every day, so we know our distributors have got to be selling some too. So
Yeah, it goes out the door.
Yeah, we appreciate all the support we've been getting and backing us, and even big shout out again to Tom and Melissa for we couldn't make the show this year, but they're going to hand out some of our flyers and our bags, just put some literature in people's hands and let them know about it. And
Mm-hmm.
and
The more
then,
you can get your name out there, the better off you're going to be.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, we appreciate that. Nature's Image is going to be over there. He carries our product, so we'll have some representation there. But yeah,
Well,
it's been pretty overwhelming. The amount of support, and then down at Nobby, because we launched it at Nobby in 24. That was the debut. So this year, 25 at Nobby. All the people that either bought it from us at Nobby last year or over the year from our distributors or us that was there at the show, they came up to us. And I mean, they just ran and raved about how clean it burned, how well it worked. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was overwhelming, all the comments that we got down there, and it was all 100% positive. And
We met a lot of beekeepers too
yeah.
over the past year.
So
Well, jumping in and offering it in larger quantities, and then going with a new product with the working on the oxalic acid glycerin strips. I mean,
yeah.
it all plays together. And thank you for everything you're doing, fighting for the beekeeper,
Yeah,
so we can
appreciate
save our
that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, it just boils down to one thing: beekeepers helping beekeepers.
That's right.
Well,
There you go.
right.
And that's what it
Yeah.
all. Thank you there, Brian, and all that. But that's the main thing: is beekeepers helping beekeepers, and that's what these different chats that we have pretty much every night of the week, helping everybody out and seeing what other people are going through as far as and all that. Yeah.
Do
How do-
you guys know? Are you going to have any presence up in Pennsylvania? There's a Western beekeeping seminar here the end of next weekend. Do you know if you're going to have a presence or flyers or anything up there for that show by chance? Or
I don't think I know we won't have anything at that show. I didn't even hear about that one.
Mhm.
Hey, Jared.
This is my first time going to it. I'm riding with another beekeeper up to it, and we're going to overnight.
Is that Monroeville or something like
Yeah,
that?
it's in Pittsburgh. So
Yeah.
It's in
I
Pittsburgh.
looked at it, the lineup. I don't know. Didn't quite excite me. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
Well, see what it's like.
what
and see
about- I guess-
Well, isn't there one up in State College too?
That's the one I was just going to say. That one's more that is the State Beekeepers Association.
Yeah, right.
That might be more prevalent. I've been wanting to go to that one. I just never seem to have been able to get there.
I don't know if you're interested in Mike and Travis. I don't know if this is out of line, but if you could somehow get me some brochures, I'd spread them all over that place for you. You know what I mean? I don't, maybe that's out of line, but I'm just saying I'd try to get the word out.
I appreciate that. We just
Thank you, Roy.
we just got a bunch printed up, but we didn't get, well, I say a bunch. We're sending quite a few with our stuff out to Tom and Melissa, but we're possibly going to have our address change.
Okay.
Our lease is up on our current building in the summer, and we may end up having an address change. So we didn't print a whole bunch of material just in case the address does change, and then we got to redo all that again. So, but if you go up there to that, and that it seems like it's a pretty good show, report back, on the chat, and
I can get to Charlie, and I'm assuming Charlie and Bill can get to you. So
yeah, and
Well, Bill's a dealer for him, and people want to buy some. I mean, Bill, you can drop your link in or contact information or something like that.
I was going to try to drop mics in here, but it's hard to find.
Yeah. Like I say, I just wish I had a handful of at least brochures I could lay around for you.
Right. Yeah.
It's Mike's Bees LLC, Bill.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was looking up. But when you look up Easy Oxalic Acid, Mike's Bees LLC,
Yeah.
it comes up with everybody that sells it for you.
I went through Facebook to their Facebook page and then clicked on their website link.
I see Drone Bee Farm in here. Hey, Drone Bee Farm out there in Oklahoma. Got to get his. I got my picture taken with him at the expo. I know Jerome is his last name, and I can't think of his first. Right.
Isn't it Is it Darren?
Darren, yeah.
Yeah, Darren. It's Darren. Hey, Darren. Darren, you can come in if you want. I know you came in one other time in the past.
Darren, did you use some stuff at Nabi? Was that you? And if you did you get it back or did you find it? There was somebody else that posted in the Nabi chat that she had lost her bag of something when she was picking up some Pro Nukes. And she just started going through, I guess, some of her stuff and found it inside of one of the Pro Nukes she brought home.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's not going to let me post it, Charlie.
All right, I got it.
Brian had it up on here a second ago.
I know, but I can't pin him. I can pin
I
him.
see it. Castle Hives, Brian has it on there. You got it on there for
Oh,
you.
there's Charlie's got it up.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. It's the link is at the top, or going
Oh,
to.
good. Darren found his bag too.
It's mikesbeesllc.com, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the link. And Jarrett down in Virginia there, Beehive Homestead. I've been to his place. He's wanting to get some.
Yeah, I dropped my link in the YouTube side of it.
Dave Hoskins, you are in luck because you're coming to the workshop. And Charlie Linder donated 30 Pro Nukes to us to raffle off and give away. So
Nice.
you will have a chance to take some home next weekend.
Bill, you got your link in there?
It's on the YouTube side.
I'm looking at the YouTube side. I don't see it.
Yes, they didn't.
It might not let anybody else put links in besides you, Charlie. Sometimes, like when we're on Ricky's, like unless I'm on Ricky's thing, it won't let me put them in.
It's there.
Where's it at? Where's it at?
In the YouTube side. It's right under Jerome Bee Farm where they lost their bag.
Yeah, I'll shoot you guys an email on what I see up there at that seminar and let you know what's going on then.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we got a show coming up in Wooster, Ohio, the end of the month. It's February 28th, I think, 28th through the 1st.
Bill, it'll show up on your YouTube, but I don't think it'll show up on anybody else's because I've tried to put links in there before, like when we're on Ricky's, and it'll show up in the YouTube feed that I'm looking at, but it's nobody else can see it.
Yeah.
So Charlie might have to put that link in for you.
Take and message me or something like that, and I'll drop it in.
All right.
I don't know whether will it come in. Let's see. Does it come in? Drop it on the StreamYard side.
Well, you can put it in there.
It won't go on the StreamYard side.
Okay.
Mice can chew through Pro Nukes. I imagine mice can chew through pretty much anything they want to.
Photobomb. It's my grandson Cody, one of the partners here.
Hi guys.
Hey, Cody.
He's been sitting here watching.
I was gonna photobomb him for you.
We often have parades of teenagers coming in and out of the house. We have to real quick give them the be quiet look when they walk in. you never know what's going to come out of their mouths is the problem.
Yeah.
Cody's the big 21. He's passed all those years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, our boys they turned 18 in July, so, but they're boys. That's all I have to say about it. As I sit amongst all of you gentlemen. So Scott, we got the little miniature 3D printed hive that you sent us.
Yeah, I was talking with Tom about it. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, that was really cute. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. Yep. Yeah, I made a whole bunch of them for a whole bunch of people, and I was really excited to be able to do that. So I've been working on the design of it for a while. I have trouble with the frames. Not to get too into it and too nerdy about it, but the adhesion layer of any 3D print is really not only critical to keep the model intact so that it can finish making it or building it, but also so that it's easy to remove. Otherwise, you can't get it off, and then it kind of interferes with the design or the function of your model. So I've been working on that. Was most of what I had to kind of iron out, and there's still occasionally an issue with it or whatever. And I've been using just an X-Acto knife to kind of shave a little bit of it off. And when I was actually working on shaving one of them off, and it slipped off and it sliced my finger down to the bone.
Oh no.
And at like 11 o'clock at night, I had to go to the emergency room and get a stitch. So anyway, that's probably a little bit too much information about it. But in any event,
I appreciate it more now. How about that?
I mean, I was really, really happy to be able to make them. And
I got one of them surprise packages from everybody from Scott here. And you got my own hive with my own name on it now.
Yeah.
And the purple color is exactly like my hive.
I mean, and that was the other thing too. I was really trying hard to match colors, and Melissa, you guys didn't make it easy for me to do that. That's why you ended up with just a white one.
Well, as soon as Tom opened that, he got a paint pen and colored in the yellow.
Right. Yeah. He sent me a picture of it, and I thought that was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
It looks great. I love it.
So, but I mean, if, like Bill, for instance, he had a very specific blue on one of his boxes. Like the whole box was blue. Right. So I was able to do that. Charlie's was tough. So I actually ended up making Charlie 2 models. Right. So the first one, the colors were off, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. So I was a little I just wasn't satisfied with it. So I ended up working on the colors, and I got the colors, I think, a little bit better. And then I went ahead and sent Charlie an updated model, I think, with some closer colors to.
Well, it had the color was perfect. And then you had my Sawmill Charlie's Bee Farm on it.
Yeah.
And all that. The link is posted back up as far as anybody else wants to come in. If was it Darren? Is it Melissa Jerome?
Yes. Yep.
If Darren wants to come in from out in Oklahoma, that'd be great. Scott, my question to you is, if I give you a broken gear, a little teeny plastic gear, can you model that and make a duplication of that?
I mean, possibly. Yeah. Just to, I mean, if there's a lot of really tough angles or,
it's a beveled gear
on it, that could be tricky, but otherwise, I mean, I can definitely scan it and kind of work on it. If it doesn't scan well, I can work on it and try to clean it up, and then I can print it. So
Darren, just taking mute your YouTube side so you don't get any feedback.
So Scott, how many printers do you have? Do you run just the one, or do you have several of them?
No, I actually have a small farm, so I have 12 printers right now. So I'm probably going to scale that to maybe 15 or 20. So
do you have like a room that's just dedicated to that?
Yeah.
So we stopped by John Hill's shop on the way to Wisconsin this last weekend because we had to drop something off. And they were giving us a tour of the place.
Mm-hmm.
And they have so many there's like 2 different rooms that he has his 3D printers just going constantly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his parts are at least a lot of his products have some element of 3D printed component on it. So when I bought my extractor from him, I got one of the very first models that he changed the control box. It used to just be like a big tall metal box that had all of the electronics in it, and then he switched it to a 3D printed octagon or honeycomb shaped box. And I got one of the first ones of those, so I thought it was pretty cool. So
I'd like to have the Easyox bullhead 3D printed with a mite stuck on his horns.
Okay.
That would be cool.
All right. I would certainly be willing to play around with a design on it or something like that and see, if I can get it to the point where, you'd want to have something like that or whatever. I mean, like, again, sometimes some angles can be tough, and even if they look good in the model, the extrusion process might, not, like, you get layering, banding and stuff like that or whatever, and it just kind of doesn't look good. But yeah, I'd definitely be willing to play around with it for sure.
Shouldn't the mite be like upside down like it's dead though?
Yeah.
With his legs up in the air.
Yeah.
Brian wants to know, Scott, what he's got 2 Persa and 2 BAMUs printers. What do you got?
Okay, so I've got 2 A1 so I've got 2 Bamboo A1s, 2 Bamboo X1 carbons. I have 3 K1 Maxes and 3 K1s, and then I just ordered 2 K2 pluses with the new multicolor, or they call it the CFS or whatever. So it's Creality's brand new printer. And that one's this massive printer that can literally print like I think the print size on it is 350 by 350 by 350. It's really like enormous. So yeah. So I mean, like I print a lot of different things. Some of it's just for me. I print my wife is constantly coming to me saying, when I saw this, model or something like that, it would be great. I print hangers sometimes. Like she said, she didn't want to buy a hanger or something like that or whatever. And I found a design for it and I printed a hanger. I print some stuff for, I print frame spacers for inside the beehive and stuff like that. Just, stuff like that or whatever. Entrance reducers, just different stuff. And then I print other things as well, other types of models. And I have, I sell them on an Etsy store. So.
Well, all right. Well, we're doing good tonight. We had 108 people on the night. We're down to 92, but that's.
Hey, one more quick thing for Mike and Travis. When we have to put that little cap full of water in on the powder so that it sticks in the plunger right, would it make sense that we ought to be using
Distilled water
for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got it, I mean, that would be the best probably. You're not gonna, not gonna put anything else into the OA, but
Okay.
I'm thinking if you just use bottled water, like if you had a bottle of water with you drink, I think that water would be good enough. I don't think you're going to put enough of anything in there if you're drinking
Okay.
it, it's not going to hurt the bees. The only thing you
Okay.
would want is too much calcium in it where it might, build up in your vaporizer, but I don't think there'd be.
But you'd have to do a lot of that, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
you ain't going to need that much.
Yeah, but don't you think that most of the time when you get your product right out of the bag, it's ready to go. You're not gonna have that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had any problems and all that stuff.
Cool.
So Darren, are you with us?
Yeah, it took me a minute. I didn't realize I had to close the YouTube window. So,
Yeah, you have to turn off the volume on that, or you'll get backfeed and all that stuff.
yeah.
So how's things in Oklahoma?
So the weather's turned for the good. We had like a really hard cold stretch there. It got down to 0 one night and then single digits for a few nights. And now it's been cloudy, but it's been 60 degrees for the highs. So I was able to, I think it was yesterday, I got out there and I put pollen patties in all my hives. It's a little bit early, but I want to go ahead and get that in there.
Now they're starting to make bees now.
Yeah, I seen a little bit of brood.
So you did see some brood. All right.
Yeah, a little bitty, not a lot.
Yeah, a couple inches or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see some eggs in there while you're at it?
No, I didn't look real hard though. I did see a few larvae.
Right.
But yeah, and I'll actually start seeing a little bit of pollen this time of year.
Really?
Come in, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what it is they get, but they start bringing it in. So I figure I'll go ahead and get pollen patties on.
Well, where you're at in Oklahoma is the lay. I think of Oklahoma as where it's kind of like deserty type area. Is that where you're at, or is it?
Well, the further you go west, the more it gets like that. And like Southwest Altus, that's like the hottest place on the planet, just about. And then you go like Southeast, it's hilly and kind of mountainy and lots of trees. It's very green, really beautiful. And I'm right in the middle, so I'm kind of on the line.
Okay. All right, that's cool. And Philip, what are you doing? You're driving again out there in Texas.
Well, I'm in Louisiana right now. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, Darren mic's really loud there, so I was having to play with the volume up and down. But yeah, I'm driving to see my mom, and I just wanted to jump in for a minute and say how much I enjoyed listening to tonight's chat with Mike. That's been really interesting to listen to while I'm driving. And I just have one more request. If you guys can stay on for about 45 more minutes, you can get me all the way there. And now that you got superstar Darren Jerome on it, I'll tell you my Nabi experience. I was trying to leave there. I told my kids, I had my kids there, and they were like, "Can we please just go back to the hotel?" I was like, "I know." I kept stopping and talking to everybody, and we're walking by, and out of the corner of my eye, I was like, "Wait a minute. I know this guy. He's one of my favorite YouTubers." And they're like, "Oh, geez, really?" So I wasn't 100% sure it was you, Darren, but I kind of walked quickly past you and glanced over and saw your T-shirt, and I was like, "Oh, that's him." So I spun around real nonchalant and acted like I was surprised to see you. But I did yell out. I said, "Hey, Jerome!" And I was like, I felt so stupid. Like, I know your name. I've been watching you for years.
Yeah, and he was standing. I don't know whether he was talking to you or who it was, but I said I had to walk right up to him too, and then we got a picture taken. And
I got my picture with him too.
And he was kind enough to text it to me, I guess you would call it. I got it on my computer now and all. But that's one thing about the Bee Expo there is, it's a huge mecca where all of us beekeepers can get together from around the United States and Canada. And get to see each other. I really enjoyed our dinner that Melissa and myself, we kind of co-hosted it. And I have to say again, Melissa did all the legwork on that. And we're definitely going to do it again next year and hopefully find a bigger place.
Yeah, I think Bill's wife was kind of looking into some places for that.
Myself and Bill's wife and I know Melissa, and all kind of collaborating together to expand it. I know we had about 50 to 60 people at the little place that we had. We didn't realize what the accommodations were there, but we got through it. We're like a bunch of bees crawling all over top of each other.
Yep.
But
we made it work.
We made it work, and Mike and Travis were both there, and I got to meet them. What was nice about it, I thought, is that everybody came to one place. We had 3 hours of meeting and greeting, and we didn't have to hunt everybody, let's say at the expo, where we had quality time amongst all of us beekeepers that come on these chats and everything. And I thought that was really productive. If we're walking around and happen to speak to everybody we see at the expo, then we don't get time to check the expo out or take classes and stuff like that, which helped out that way. But it was quality time amongst ourselves. Really enjoyed it.
I think next year, though, I'm going to bring either a microphone and speaker or a megaphone so that I don't have to scream everybody's orders out.
I'm sure wherever we go next year, it's not going to be that way.
I was wondering if you got a cut of the tips that night.
I should have. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have liked for everyone to sort of stand up and say who they were. I saw a lot of people, but I didn't know who a lot of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that something else would be nice if we could have the size name tags that we have for the expo. A little bit more easier to read would be nice. But we, it's just a learning thing. And,
but think about how many of the people that you didn't know, you'll know them now, next year when you go to see them, you'll know them because you met so many this year.
That's right.
Most of them. Yeah. But like Big Mike, I stood there and talked to him and didn't know who he was for a while.
I came in that night in the dark parking lot out there, and he's talking to his friends, and he was trying to dig out, I think, one of the door prizes out of his car, and he was talking to him, and I didn't even, you couldn't see him because it was dark. I said, well, that's Big Mike, because I recognize that northern accent.
I've not seen him and heard him. I might have made the connection.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was a lot of fun, and I really liked it a lot, and definitely try to get a bigger place where more people are comfortable. I don't know, maybe we'll get some type, I don't know what.
I don't know. The smaller place was kind of nice because it forced people to interact with each other because you didn't have a choice. You're so in each other's space. You get something and people spread out more. There's not usually as much commingling. So
I wondered from some of the pictures, I wondered how anybody was even able to kind of push their chair back and get up without slamming into the person behind them.
Yeah, that was we did a lot of that too.
Yeah, it was a really small room. So
well, it was like a big hive. You see, we were crawling all over top of each other and all that stuff. But
Matt says we all got to hug each other without hugging.
Yeah, there were a couple of people over there building storm cells. I could see it.
A few people did swarm out and go around to the other side. So
yeah, it was we did have a Mike Barry and them, they just stopped in and said hey, and the Summers family, they came in and stopped by.
Yeah, Dirt Rooster's wife and the couple they were with did skip over to the other restaurant.
Yeah. It was good though. I mean,
It was
as tight as it was still a good time, and it was, it was what it was, and it turned out fine.
Hey, Darren, are you going to bring a bigger vehicle to the expo next year?
I don't know. I might be able to talk my wife out of her SUV. I just bought that car, and I was anxious to see how it did on the road like that.
I was just completely blown away at how much stuff you were pulling out of that car. I was like, where did you get it all? When you were like coming in the door and putting it on the counter, and I was just like,
That all
is he
came
doing
out of
that
there.
from a different vehicle? Because how's he getting that all of that out of that Toyota?
Well, what is it? Tetris? Everybody's.
Yeah.
Texas.
I had it down on the floor, and yeah. So when I was loading that up, I set my bag next to the wall there at the loading dock, getting everything in there, and I stepped back and took a picture, and then got in and drove off and left my bag sitting there. And it has about $400 worth of stuff. Had all those battery powered smoker things and a lot of other stuff in it. So I was just sick when I realized that was missing. And the next day I went to the Lost and Found, and they're like, nope, that's not here. And I was like, oh, great. But I didn't know that there was like a information desk or something in there that where Laurel was at, and she had it. So it was nice. So the people that I was talking to said, oh, if a beekeeper found it, they'll turn it in. Sure enough, they did.
Oh, that's great. So did you buy, was it a vaporizer that you had in there? Did you
Yeah,
say?
it's a APIS, APIS, I think is the name of that
Smoker.
company. And it's a
Yeah,
smoker. It's
Oh, the
battery
smoker,
powered.
the
Marcellus.
Oh,
It's like
Oh.
fake smoke or something, right?
Yeah.
it's the vaporizer smoker. Yeah, that's a
It's like a
$300
vape.
product right there.
It's pretty neat. And I'm always, when I'm shooting video, I'm like coughing and stuff from that smoke. I thought maybe that'd be better. So I actually went back and I bought another one. They sold it to me for half price.
That was
I
nice.
saw a video on it, and I was like, "Hey, I lost it." Which you tell me
Now you got two of them, huh?
And they're like, "Oh yeah, they were really nice guys from France." Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up some the juice for one of my beekeepers in my club. She has one.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, that's expensive. I bet if you buy it and get it coming from France.
yeah, well, the bottle I think was like $37 or something like that.
Yeah.
$27, $37, whatever it was. But
So
I
he
picked
threw
up-
in 2 extras of those, and yeah, he set me all up.
So have you done a video using that thing yet?
No, I read the instructions last week when it was really cold. So the little thing it's called the Resistance, and it has cotton in it. I think that's what's in it. You have to soak that for a little bit, but once you soak it one time, I think it's good to go after that. But you have to soak that for about 20 minutes before you actually run it. So I haven't used it yet. I got it all charged up. Maybe this weekend I'll get out there and do a video and demo it. So
Do they say how many hours one of those vials is supposed to last you?
I think they said it would do 300 hives on one charge. I don't remember how much a vial would do.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Depends on how many bees are attacking you at the time.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, who knows how they'll react to it. That's the next
You
thing.
know, if you get Jeremy out there in West Texas out there with them darn killer bees, they're all over that man. He probably used a whole charge just from one hive.
You know, that guy that bought all those frames for me down there, Charlie, the last night he was over there loading them up Saturday afternoon, and he had to totally unload his truck. It was a covered box truck to get them all in there, and he ended up putting some in the front seat. And his wife came up to him after he was done, and he was admiring his work, and she said, well, where am I going to sit?
Yeah.
Hey, Darren, I had a question for you. On one of your videos recently, you were making candles, and I noticed you were taking the wax from the melter and you're putting it in that pour pot. And I was wondering why you wouldn't just go straight from the pour pot into the mold instead of putting it in that, not the pour pot, but the melter into the mold.
Yeah, so when I pour out into like a big candle, I will do it that way. And or like that 1 pound block, I'll pour it straight out of the spigot. But to pour in those little holes, you have a lot more control with that pitcher, that you can get it in there and turn at different angles. Yeah. I watched a video. Bob Benny, one of the ladies that works for him, did a video, and they use a pitcher. And I've seen other people use those pitchers. It's a lot. You have a lot more control in your pour with that.
Now I have my melters. It looks like an old church coffee pot. It's got the drain in the center of it.
Yeah.
And it's out the side, and the valve on it's just a ball valve, I think, but it has a lot of control. You can just barely let the wax come out of there if you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that spout like the old coffee pots does. It has a regular ball.
And sometimes that thing with the valve on the side of the melter, the wax goes into that and it solidifies and then it won't come out. So
yeah, you have to use your
with a heat gun before you start pouring it.
I have to do that a little bit with mine, but it's connected all the way back to where the heating element is, so it's pretty rare that happens on it, but it does happen a little bit. Not as bad as the other side stuff. The one I've got is like $100. It's not very expensive, but the thing that I like about it is you get all the wax out. You don't have to chip it or anything. The hole right in the center of it.
Yeah. I got that mold there at the expo at Manlake. They have a lot of those silicon molds, and I had my eye on that. So that was $95, and it's like $125, I think.
At first, I was thinking that's a lot, but then you said it does 8 candles, right? That's not too bad.
Yeah, those molds are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna pay $10, $20 for a candle mold for sure, no matter what. So if you get that many candles out of it.
Yeah, we spent a small fortune at Bee Light buying molds at Nobby.
I'd like to go find some others. Yeah. So there was so much at the expo that I didn't get to. Just what interrupted me was getting all the stuff to load it in the car the second day.
I know.
I missed a lot of the things I wanted to go see, the presentations. And I was like, oh, dang it. And then the weather's coming in the day 3. So I left out early. So
Tom and I jokingly, semi-seriously, are thinking about taking one of our boys next year just to collect all of our order stuff.
That's a good idea.
So because that was like we ended up doing it 2 days. It was just running around picking things up,
Right.
Like that takes up so much time.
It really does.
Well, especially because like we pre-order a lot of stuff from Nobby because we plan ahead for everything that we're going to need for the entire year. So like all of our glass we'll get from there, the whatever. Well, we don't get woodenware from there because we get it from Daniel at Golden Bee, but all of our treatments, all that kind of stuff, we get as much as we are anticipating that we'll need for the year. So we generally have a decent amount of stuff to pick up.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we did get was the Dancing Bees wax melter. And I finally used it. I melted some wax in it the other day, but I actually used it today. And I thought it would be kind of hard to put the wax from the melter into a mold because then you've got to move the mold too. Like I'd rather have my mold on the table and pour into it than hold the mold and then have to set it down full of wax.
Right.
But that's just my thinking because I was pouring wax blocks for the honey show at the workshop, and so I was just pouring it into my pitcher and then pouring it into my molds.
So what is that? I saw those in the competition. It's like a big rectangle. What mold do they use for that? Is that a special thing or?
It's usually just a cake pan or a pie pan.
Okay.
Just a metal cake or pie pan. Yep.
All right. I use most of my wax. It goes back on my plastic foundation, the stuff that I clean up.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'll have some for candles.
So, Charlie, are you going to take advantage of Monday's warm temperatures and get out there in the yard?
I don't know what I don't even know what the weather's supposed to be like Monday.
I mean, I've been eagerly anticipating Monday because it's going to be like 55 degrees in my yard, so it's probably going to be even a couple of degrees warmer for you.
Right.
And it's like been the only day. I mean, I guess there was another day, but it was really windy that day. So I've been waiting for this day to come so I can actually get down there and see who's still alive. And
Well, I went out last Sunday, which was about 45 degrees, which is good enough for me, where I didn't do any videoing because I wanted to get in and out of that high within about 2 minutes or so.
Mhm.
And I put the feeder shims on, I put the sugar bricks on, I put like the pollen patties you get from Global, I cut them in half, and I put a half a pollen patty on each one of the hives that is right behind me there. And there was some hives that I found they were close to being starving. And I had one hive there in particular that I don't know, it was before the cold snap. I moved a solid frame of honey from the outer wall right next to the cluster, and I sweated through all this week's worth of cold weather. I got out there Sunday when it was about 45, and I put all the feed on all the hives that needed it. And I went, Brian C., who's on here tonight, he had those see-through observation covers, and I bought me 3 of them, and I put them on the hive. I did a couple shorts on them.
Yeah, I watched your short on it,
and I really like them things because you know the first short when I did that video, it was about 15 degrees outside. And I went and you could see what the cluster looks like, you know.
Yeah, you could see the condensation in the corners on your short as well, too, right? So
yeah, I pointed all that out, and then I put the insulation right back on top and everything. So you know, it's a great curiosity alleviator. You know, if you just haven't seen your bees and you need a good fix, you can go out there and look at them and like, okay, I got my fix, and put the insulation back on.
Right.
And then the second one is where I had went out there and put those feeder shims on, and the bee in that one hive that's observation, the bees were all over the sugar bricks and along with the pollen patty, and that it makes you feel good that, you know, you got them before they starved. And there's some hives that have plenty of honey above them, you know, but I'll say the clusters are small.
Right.
And then there's other hives that the clusters are really big, and they've gobbled up everything I put in there. And I fed them to the point where they couldn't take anymore. That's how much I fed them. And they have blown through that amount of feed this year. And it seemed like a lot of folks are having starvation problems or dead outs. And I don't know whether it's because I don't think it's we've had a 1 week worth of really severe cold weather where it's, you know, like I've definitely snowed down in Louisiana, but which is unusual for them. But for us, all in all, the cold weather was pretty much normal, except for that one week that was, you know, 15 below. Usually it's around 30 degrees, you know, something that's relatively, well, I mean, there were several days there we didn't really want to go out and work outside at all. You know, we just kind of stayed inside. And
well, but I mean, that's what I did too. I mean, I fed my bees until they wouldn't take it anymore. And then I put the mountain camp sugar on in November, right? I know some people wait to see, you know, what it's going to be, you know, see if they need it or whatever. I just put it on. I've always done it that way. And so I just put it on in November. So it's already there. So if they did rip through all of that, it's already there for them to just start feeding on. But I've been waiting on on this day, Monday, for these temperatures, not only to get in there and just, see what's going on, make sure everybody's still alive or whatever, but I also want to put pollen on. I want to put pollen patties on the colony.
Yeah,
well.
for our area, pollen patties is you definitely want to put them on now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give everybody half a. I got those. I got the patties from Man Lake that have the Apis biologic in it.
Yeah.
So now I'm not crazy about Man Lake's patties because I think they're a little hard.
Let me just say this.
They're a little harder than.
Yeah, they're harder and they're like taffy almost.
Yeah.
Get a hold of Bill there. Bill's got some of them global patties down there at his store.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting global patties every time I went to the expo.
Right.
Last couple of years. They're nice and soft.
Right.
They have the rocket fuel in them.
Yeah, I mean, I've used them. It's just that this time I ended up getting these Man Lake ones that have the rocket fuel in them because I thought I'll give them a shot and see what happens. So I ended up. So I'm gonna give everybody half a patty and see what happens.
Yeah. The main thing of it is where we live and where you're at. I'm sure maples bloom here about the mid March, and
I mean, we're only like 30 minutes apart. I mean, so I would imagine that kind of stuff is probably pretty much the same from your yard to mine. So
yeah, we're 30 miles, not minutes. I'm more like an hour from you at least.
Yeah,
I think. But
that's what I meant. 30 miles. So.
Yeah, 30 miles. But I would say, yeah, definitely put the pollen patties on now if you want to build up and get your hives busting.
Well, I'm hoping for some. I want to make some splits. So.
Yeah, also that if you're doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hey, Philip, are you there yet?
I just turned off on the smaller highway. I've got about 30 more minutes.
Holy cow.
The little community where I grew up, where my mother still lives, it's not the end of the earth, but you can see it from there.
All right.
You're not going to stumble on it. You have to be going there to get there. So, but yeah.
Mike and Travis, what state are you in? Where are you located at?
Ohio.
Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
We're
Southeast Ohio.
southeast. So where's the closest major town? I guess you would say.
We're on I-70, runs east and west across the state, Columbus being kind of in the center. We're between Columbus and Wheeling, West Virginia, about dead in the middle. So we're about an hour from Wheeling, West Virginia.
All right. So yeah, I've been on that road that goes that's the way I went on over to Dayton last year. So you're on that main drag right straight to there, all that flat ground.
So then I'm sure Mike, Travis, you guys, I have family that live in and around a town called Newark.
Newark?
Yeah, Newark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Licking County, I guess it is, or whatever. So
40 miles away.
Yeah,
that's east of Columbus. So
Right. That's about 40 minutes west of us.
Gotcha.
All right. So you're not awfully far away. Or at least I know where you live at in the area there. And had some nice looking fields out there.
We're down here in the hill country.
Yeah, our side
You're
of
in hill country?
our side of the state's still a little bit hilly, but once you get to Columbus or just before Columbus, it starts getting flat, and then you get on the west side of Columbus, and it's flat as a pancake.
Yeah, we went through I guess you go through Columbus, and then you go to Dayton,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like you say, both sides on the interstate there was nice and really flat and nice big fields, and then I don't know, they must have been shipping out Miller sprayer buggies. They were these big ones, about $150,000 a piece or so.
Yeah.
And there was one after another on a tractor and trailer, taking them to the dealerships, I guess.
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Is
What I always
Dayton-
think is funny when I'm going out there, that area kind of like from Zanesville and stuff in through that, I think it's funny to see little miniature oil rigs in people's yards and stuff. That whole area is covered with them. I never see them operating, but they're just, everybody seems to have this little oil rig in there. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. So
Yeah. Back in the day, there was the shallow wells actually ran those little mini pump jacks.
yeah.
Back in I think that was back in the 70s.
70s, yeah.
It was a big boom around here with shallow oil wells. But now the deep oil is coming through now, and it's just been unreal. It makes me wish I'd bought a bunch of acreage when I moved back to Ohio, because
Right.
they're leasing up the ground for oil and drilling these deep wells, and it's unbelievable.
Well, that's the same thing that happened in northern Pennsylvania, but probably close to a decade now, that Marcellus shale, that just boomed up there, and, everybody was cashing in on it. So
What you want to say, Melissa?
Oh, isn't there like an Air Force museum or something like that in Dayton?
Yeah,
I know-
it's
right Patterson Air Force Base.
Yeah. Tom had been there before when he was driving to my uncle's house when he lived in Pennsylvania or whatever. And he's always wanted to go back and spend some time there. And we just haven't made it there.
yeah.
Yep.
And Phil, this is one of the first lives. This is probably the first live that I've seen where you're not wearing a winter hat.
Really?
It was
Dude,
funny that you guys were talking-
I was catching the replays on, and every time Phil
Yeah, that's
had
right.
his winter hat on, I was like,
Yeah.
"Is it really
Yeah,
that
you
cold?"
put a shirt on.
It was 68 degrees in Capel today. And when you guys were talking about the high tomorrow being 55, I looked down and it was 55 on my dashboard. But now it's down to 52. It's dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little last cold spell about a week ago, I might be it for us. We might get one in February, though.
Yeah, well, it's only going to be 55 for one day, and then it's going down into the 30s. So
I think it's supposed to be 73.
He's reaching the end of the earth. He's breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's getting ready to fall off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Skin
what
the
happens
edge,
when we get down here. God's country.
So Darren,
Yeah, I've tried to join these chats. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Darren, what
Go ahead,
I
Charlie.
mean, is your honey season or bee season, I guess, kicking in right now, or what how does it work for you?
So they're just starting to brood up. I mean, for the bees, but for me personally, so probably tomorrow I'm going to be putting wax on some deep frames that I have that have been sitting there, new, but there's wax, but you know how they get after they sit for a while, the bees won't like them. So I'll probably be doing that tomorrow. February, I'll rotate my double deeps, get the brood on the bottom. And that's something I do. I've been running more singles. I have like 32 hives going now, and I had 40 at the peak of last year, but I probably have 8 or 9 singles I'm running. I started trying to do that more. But this coming year, I'm going to try and focus on so I'm the worst at not wanting to let a hive die, and I'll just limp along these little wimpy hives. It's like, it just needs to go. The queen needs to go. It needs requeened. It needs combined or something. But I just have a hard time doing that. So I'm going to really try and make myself do that this year and focus on keeping stronger hives. And I'm going to try doing some grafting this year. I'm going to commit to doing that. My queen supplier, Hive Wildflower Meadows in California, they went out of business. So I know there's lots of queen suppliers out there, but I was like, well, that just kind of gives me an incentive to do the grafting.
I haven't grafted for about 3 years, and that's what my I'll say my business model has changed, where I was selling honey and nukes, and I'm dropping the nuke line, but keeping a dozen nukes for myself or as backup, and resource hives, and getting back into raising my own queens and stuff. Bill's having a queen rearing class in April, and I'm signed up to go to that. And not the grafting part is what is to me is the easy part. It's making sure you got the cell builder set up
Yes, the
right.
starter finisher and all that.
Yeah,
Watching all those videos, trying to. So many people do it different, you know.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah,
got into
right
a huge,
like that.
we got into a huge discussion here over that, and there's a guy up in British Columbia who I have to say his video, even though it's not perfect, it's the best video I've seen to kind of understand how he got it. You know, it's a queen right starter finisher, and but I still had questions, and luckily Doug from Canada came in and gave me a why he did a couple things the way he did it. And I said after that, I finally figured out like, okay, now I understand what he was trying to do about manipulating the bees in that hive. But Bill's he's going to have live bees, pre-set up the cell builder, and then we're also going to do some dry run setups, and I don't know whatever all else is involved, but sounds good to me. It's anywhere I can. It doesn't matter. That's what I've always done. Is if I was a member of 5 different bee clubs at one time, I'm still quite a few of those, and I'll travel. I learned how to graft by Kent Williams out of Kentucky. Went down to Knoxville before Hive Life started back in 2019 and learned how to graft. And they actually had live bees down there. They brought grafting frames in right out of the hives, which was really nice. And and then the main thing he was trying to tell us about how the age of the larvae, what to graft, and the best way I can explain it to you is if you go out there and find a frame, you got your eggs, and then right below that you see jelly, but you can't see anything floating in the jelly. That's where you want to graft. That's because when you do put your magnification unit on, if you need it, you'll see your larvae, and that'll probably be within a 12-hour period of being hatched.
So you're saying the very youngest larva is what you
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You want to get it as young as you can get it.
All right.
The main thing of it is, I mean, I had a young mentee here that was 20 years old, and I said, here's my magnification unit. And he says, I don't need that. I said, what do you mean you don't need that? He said, I can see it just right here. And so I grafted a bar of 15. He grafted a bar of 15. Of course, his bar was 100% take, and mine was about 80 or 90% take on my bar. But the best way to just trying to tell people how to go about it. Can't try to do like a mathematical thing of go out there, find the eggs, come back in 3 days. Well, you don't know whether those eggs are 12 hours old or 1 hour old. And that just didn't work for me because when I got out there, they were too old. And so I found that if you see jelly, but you can't see anything in that floating in the jelly, that's the ones you want to graft because it's there. Bees don't put jelly in a comb unless there's a larvae that needs to be fed.
That's good to know. Thanks for that.
But that's the best way for me to explain it to people. And I use a Chinese grafting tool.
That's what I was going to ask you. What kind of tool did you use?
I use Chinese grafting tool, and something that Kent showed me was if this pin here is, let me see if I got it right. Here is the grafting tool, and you're going to have to buy about 10 or 15 of them things. You bring that tongue down and hit your thumbnail. And if that tongue bends and kind of sweeps across your thumbnail with relatively ease and flexibility, that's a good tool to use. That's the way to test it.
I have one. It's pretty
flexible,
flimsy on the end. Yeah, it bends easy. Yeah. Okay.
And then I tell people, stick your that tongue or the tool tongue in your mouth and kind of suck on it, basically. And I try to take my human tongue and curve, get it to curve and the heat of your body and the saliva will kind of keep that reed in that curvature state. And you can go down into that, slide it down the sidewall, and let it go across the bottom of the cell floor, and you'll pick up the larvae that's floating on the jelly, and then do that. Kind of put that tongue at the kind of flex it flat across the bottom of the cell or the cup,
Right.
and then bring it back and push the plunger all at the same time. By the time that tip kind of comes up off the bottom of the cup, it should be that jelly and that cell or larvae should be right on
Okay.
the bottom.
So when you're pulling it out, you're pushing the plunger at the same time and moving it to drop the.
No, you're releasing the plunger, because when you push that button down on that tool, that slides that reed out. So
Okay.
you go in and you graft, and then as you pull it out and you take it
that's
over the
right.
other cell, you release the button, and it slides that reed back up in the tool, and it pushes.
Yeah. The button's connected to the reed, not the little stiff thing that pushes it off. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, now Gary Stewart has got a good thing here, and basically, I actually, you know what, I do have one of those cages where you can put a frame inside the cage and then have the queen in there,
Yeah.
and then you can time it. You made yourself a timing box,
Yeah.
like the guys down south. And I have not tried. I bought one, but I never got to use it. But maybe that's what I need to start doing, this year.
So what I like to use is Betterby has that frame cage.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I like to use that because you just put your empty drawn frame in it with the queen, and then she can start, because the other bees can get in and out, but the queen can't. Put it in there on Monday, and then you go pull it out, on
Wednesday
or Thursday. And then I like to use the master grafting tool because the tongue is a lot thinner and smaller, and it's easier to see into the cells to get that tongue underneath those larvae. And
now, what is the master grafting tool?
I'll go downstairs and grab it and show you guys. But it's just,
and you've also had the experience with that grafting cage or that timing cage.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll have to try that out. I mean, I take a trip down to Georgia every year.
I'll go grab that tool real quick.
Okay.
I'll be back.
At Hardeman's, and they have different queen breeds. They'll have a Russian box, timing box, or Italian. And like you say, they have it where they got a divider in there, and they step those frames back every day, and it comes around where every day they grab all them different grafting frames, and they'll graft 1,500, 2,000 cups a day.
Wow.
And then they put those in a overnight starter.
Here's the cage.
Yeah. The overnight starter, and then they take those.
Just put the frame in there.
I think they take those cells out, and then they put them in a finisher. That's at another yard and stuff. Oh, one of those things. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But you have to. So you hold it like this.
So are you picking up the larvae?
See, can you see the?
Yeah, I can barely. I can kind of see it coming
Can
out.
you make her bigger, Charlie?
Yeah. Hold on.
I don't want to be bigger.
There you go.
So you can kind of see that little tongue. And see
Yeah. Now you push the trigger down to push the tongue out.
Yes.
And then when you release the spring lever that pushes it off.
Yeah, it comes back in.
Yeah.
Is it a flat tongue or is it a wire?
It's flat. It's flat. But yeah, so this works really great. Takes a little bit of getting used to, how to hold it right.
Right.
There, you can see it just kind of pushes the larvae off of it right there.
Hmm.
But yeah,
But
so
but are you grabbing the jelly with the larvae on it, or just the larvae?
no, it grabs jelly too. Probably not as much as you're getting with the Chinese grafting tool. But the thing with the Chinese grafting tools is they're so, I mean, look how narrow this is. Those
Yeah.
Chinese grafting tools, it's really hard to see inside those cells when you're using that. You're basically just kind of going in blind and scooping up everything that's in the cell. I can see a lot better with this. It's easier for me to use.
I saw someone wax dip their queen cups. Do you need to do that? I've seen people do it where they don't do that at all.
No.
It's like, is that
No.
necessary? Okay.
Yeah. Some people will make their own queen cups, but no, I just use the JZBZ cups.
That's what
And
I
I've heard some people put them in the hive to let them polish them, and some people, I don't. I just go ahead and put the darn larvae in there and put it in the cell starter, and I'm done.
Yep.
Same.
got a good strong cell starter. They probably don't care then.
Correct.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm going to Bill's class, because I've done it in the past where I've used a 5-frame nuke, and I must have been lucky the first year, and I had plenty of bees in there, and it all worked out great. And then last couple years I did it. Well, first the weather was fluctuating from warm weather during the day and cold weather at night, and I'm talking like 40 degrees, which is cold for grafting. But I've also heard if you have plenty of bees in there, that doesn't really make a difference if everything is just right.
Now, one of the important things that when you're grafting that you need to remember is you don't want those larvae to dry out. So it's really important that you have like a warm, moist towel that you,
Right.
as you're, putting them in the bar, you're covering them up right away.
So Gary and 2B Brett say they prime the cup with royal jelly first.
Yeah,
You can do that.
When you do that, though, you have to be really careful you don't flip those larvae over, because they breathe through spiracles on the side of their body that's facing up. So if you flip them over, then they're going to drown and die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll get used to the taste of royal jelly and larva.
All at once. Okay.
Yep.
But let's see what I was going to tell you also.
Now, Bill, do you think you'll offer that class any other time?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because you went and scheduled it right on my wedding anniversary, so I cannot attend.
How dare you, Bill?
Just take and bring her along.
It's a group
You say
activity.
you're going somewhere important. You'll enjoy yourself and bring her down here.
If I say to her, listen, for our wedding anniversary, we're going down to the valley to attend Bill's, queer. She, my family's from there, so I'll probably end up in the family cemetery. Back home. So,
Hey, you'll be home.
Yep. So if you're ever offering it at another time, I would definitely be interested in attending.
Well, I can tell you right now, I've got 5 seats left for that class.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
And the
great.
splits class, I've got 8 seats left for that.
But
you're going to get to see Charlie's rolling demarray, and you get to see my traditional demarray, because we're going to tape them.
Mm-hmm. Is that just going to be for the people who attended, or what?
No, I'll put it on YouTube.
Okay, awesome.
But see what else. And Jerome, I mean, the way I count my, the bee calendar and all that kind of stuff, everybody gets it's 9 days. And I said, yeah, you're counting the first 3 days before the egg hatches. I said, that's not relevant to grafting.
Right.
You know, it's like the day I graft is day one. That's the day I put it in the cell builder or starter.
Yeah.
And then the 6th day later, normally those cells are capped. Now you can put it leave it in a cell finisher for so many days, you know, for the next until about 2 days before they hatch and put them in a mating box or whatever. But I like a lot of times they will put webbing in between your cells, and it is a bear trying to take a razor blade and cut that off without damaging the cells. So I made up my own little incubator out of a top of a refrigerator, and with a heat lamp, a little fan, and with a little tray in there with more water in there for humidity, and I can either incubate them in there and put the cell in a 2-for-80 mating box, or I leave them anymore. I like to leave them in there and let them hatch in roller cages.
Okay. I've got some roller cages. I can't decide if I want to do the roller cages or an incubator or actually just put them in a new,
You can do try it all. Try it all.
Try it all.
Try it all.
But if you put them in an incubator, put them in a roller cage, because they hatch out in the incubator,
They're
they're going to
us.
fight.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
I had a few of them where they were kind of crawling around, but luckily I caught them and put them back in their cages. But I like the incubators a little bit more convenient. I just have to watch them closely when they're getting close to hatch time, because I like to get them out of that and get them right into the mating boxes and let the bees take care of them, or just put the cell, you know, a day or two in the mating box before they hatch. And I just take my finger, make an indentation, put the cell up there, and just kind of lightly squeeze the wax around it.
Right.
Just enough to hold it, and they'll take care of the rest.
That's what I do with swarm cells, how I do those.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Same identical thing. And all that.
I'm sure, Darren, I'm sure some of my beekeeping skills were learned from watching your channel. So you're one of the first channels I ever watched when I started this entire endeavor back around 2019, something like that. So before the house was even built, before the house even got started getting built. So.
Yeah, I lived in a 5th wheel trailer for about 9 months, and then we lived in that apartment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the first videos I remember watching is when you had the grandkids over doing the honey bottling.
Yeah, they're all grown up now. And my daughter, with the really young one, she moved to Chicago, so I don't see them very often. And Carly and Hayden, they're like adults now.
Right.
Yeah.
They grow up so fast.
Well, guys, it's about 20 minutes 11. We've been on for 2 hours and a little over 39 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and shut the chat down, and appreciate everybody coming in tonight, and everybody who's on screen right now can just stay right here. Don't run off.
Good night, everybody.
And
Good night, everybody.
Not everybody's been fun.
like I say, everybody on the screen here, just stay in for a minute, and I'm going to shut down the chat side. Okay. We'll see y'all next Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or we'll see you on Monday night, 8 o'clock on Bees All Day.
Yeah.